Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy show. My name is Hassani Pettiford. I am your infidelity recovery specialist, the co-founder of Couples Academy, and here every single morning to give you information, inspiration, and proper implementation to turn your situation around. We're talking about why we cheat. That's the series that we're in. Today, we're continuing the conversation of the reasons why people do what they do. So, why do I keep cheating on you? That is the question. Why do I keep cheating on you? Probably because there are some root issues within me that I haven't addressed, that I haven't resolved, and so this internal pattern continues to persist, and I find myself in a situation again and again and again. Now, the thing is, I may have cheated multiple times, or maybe there's been different types of betrayals, maybe one physical, one emotional, one social. But the point is, I keep, for whatever reason, because I don't have proper boundaries in place, finding myself in these situations. Now, we're talking about why, and we're still on personal factors, okay? Personal factors. We started a conversation yesterday that we're going to continue. So, some more of the it's not you, it's me reasons. Let's dive a little deeper. Number one, we're dealing with a desire for novelty, a desire for something new, right? So, this innate desire for new experiences may lead to infidelity. I've told you countless times that people who cheat are in search of something new and different, and they wind up finding someone new and different to experience something new and different. In essence, they're looking for variety, a new sensation, a new way to combat their boredom and the routines of life. See, when you're in a long term committed relationship, it's not exciting and fun and thrilling all the time because you have to do life together. You have to raise kids together. You have to pay bills together. You have to go to work. You have responsibilities and obligations. And there's a normalcy, a security, a predictability in that marriage, but you also have a relationship within the marriage. And it's the responsibility of the couple to keep things fresh, to keep things new, to keep things exciting. But because most of us place such an emphasis on the marriage and not the relationship, boredom sets in. And unfortunately, the way that some people deal with boredom is in a very destructive way. So the need for novelty is what drives one out. Let's go to the next one. Well, personal boredom is really it's really a continuation of this, right? When you feel like boredom, you're bored with your life. That's another thing. It's not just bored with the relationship. You're bored with your life. You feel unfulfilled. You're looking for something new, something different, some excitement, some new lease on life, and you find it in the affair. And usually an affair is a way of breaking down the monotony of everyday life. And so there's certain personalities that really, they get bored quick. And it's important that we learn that that's a personality trait to learn how to properly cover it, protect it, so couples don't go down this particular path. Number three, relationship habits. This is critically important. I think that when people are dating, they don't do enough intel. They don't do enough time digging and doing research. And because you look good and because you make me feel good and because we've got chemistry and connection, then we're made to be together and to be happy for the rest of our lives. But see, when you marry someone, you're marrying their past, their present, and their future. And while most of us are focusing on how we feel in the present and hoping for an amazing future, we don't take the time to dig into the past. Because in the past, if we take a look, we can observe what? Some patterns, some habitual patterns. And oftentimes, there's some who have habitual patterns of seeking validation or habitual patterns of seeking intimacy outside of the relationship. And often this is established from previous experiences. So one of the questions that we ask is, well, listen, you are experiencing infidelity in this relationship. Have you cheated on past partners? That gives us an indication. That's showing us a historical pattern, and now we can get into some root causes. And so sometimes people think, well, yeah, that's who you, and we hear this, well, I was much younger then, and I was just a kid and I wasn't mature yet. Well, there's many people who are younger who did not cheat. So using that as an excuse or a justification for why you did what you did is not good enough. Usually there's something in your pathology that's creating this pattern. And so therefore, the pattern has to be broken. If the pattern, there's something called pattern recognition. And when you begin to identify where the pattern starts and where it stops and how it loops back in, you begin to notice that there are certain habits that form patterns. And when we change certain habits, we break old patterns and create new patterns. And so identifying the personal patterns, the historical patterns, is so important to determine what may be or will not be in the future. Let's go to the next. A lot of times people have a complete lack of awareness. And a lack of self-awareness or insight into one's own needs and desires and motivations can lead to cheating. It's almost like, you know what, I know I want something different, but I just can't put my finger on it. I don't know what it is. I know I want more. I know I need more, but I just don't know what it is. And sometimes in a quest to discover, they may find it in places that will lead to ultimate betrayals. So not only do I not know what I need and what I want, which is an indication that you're not getting it from your relationship. You can't get what you are not even aware of. Or maybe you are getting something, but you're not aware of the fact that you need it. And so therefore you feel like it's an unmet need because you haven't done enough self-work. So many of us are oblivious to our own selves. And the more you have a knowingness about you, now you can begin to articulate what those needs are so your spouse can meet them. Maybe they're not meeting them because they don't know what they are. And maybe they don't know what they are because you don't know what they are. So you knowing you helps them to better love you, serve you, honor you, protect you, and engage in a healthy, mutually beneficial relationship with you. This is why we say that the lowest common denominator in any relationship is you. You. So if you aren't in touch and connected with you, how can your spouse? So now you put all of this demand on a spouse and you give your spouse an impossible task to fulfill because you don't know you. You don't know what you want. That's a problem. But the lack of awareness shows up in a different way as well. Not just fully understanding the impact on the actions. See, a lot of times people cheat and either they don't think about the potential consequences, what the impact will be, and so they're awakened out of their stupor when they see their spouse's reaction. And I hear this all the time, oh my God, I had no idea it would hurt you this bad. Like, how did you not think that? You didn't give that any thought. You didn't consider that at all. But so many people are blown away by the reaction. Maybe because as a child they've experienced it in their home or in previous relationships they've experienced it and it was hurtful, but they went on, they got over it. They either broke up or they got over it and continued to stay. But when they saw the devastating impact, it blew them away. And so this is why it's always important to always consider the potential consequences of a betrayal before you even get involved in such behavior. So you can already arrest yourself and protect you against yourself by going down paths that will absolutely not serve you. Hope this is making sense. The next one, a personal identity crisis. Now we talk about oftentimes the midlife crisis, but you don't have to reach the middle of your life to have a personality crisis. And so struggling with a sense of identity or self-worth, leading to seeking affirmation and exploration through infidelity is a huge issue. Like really, if you don't love you, if you don't value you, if you don't know you, that is a huge red flag. Because if I don't believe in me, if I don't love me, if I don't affirm me, when you do it to me and for me, I won't believe it. So you could be complimenting me, you could be accommodating me, you could be giving me everything that I believe I desire, but it's hard for me to accept it from you, and so I'll seek it somewhere else. Isn't this interesting? Just yesterday, I was listening to a podcast by a very popular and phenomenal psychologist. And she was sharing her story. And she talked about how she still struggles with major insecurity. And in this interview, she actually said, she's a very attractive woman. And she says, whenever she's given a compliment, she struggles to believe it. And she begins to question the validity of the person. And actually, she no longer likes the person. She no longer likes who compliments her, who affirms her, because she believes that there's an agenda to it. She believes that they're doing it for malicious purposes. And so she intentionally has she intentionally has very critical people in her life, right? So if anybody saw this person, they would be like, you don't believe that? So she has critical people in her life that tear her down, that pick her apart intentionally. This is her design, to have these people in her life, because she feels like, I can trust their negativity, but I can't trust other people's quote unquote flattery. And yet she's an amazing counselor, but she hasn't dealt with her own stuff. She's self-aware of her problems, but she hasn't dealt with it. And I see that in relationships where a spouse could be beautiful. A spouse could be powerful, awesome, and amazing, and have gifts and talents and abilities, but they don't believe it. I've seen singers who could tear the house down, but would never get on stage because of their low self-esteem and self-worth. And oh my God, and I don't think that I have such a great voice, and I don't think anybody. And it's just like, are you crazy? And when you operate and walk around in low self-esteem, you are potentially setting your marriage up for disaster if you don't deal with that issue. I don't believe it about myself. I don't believe it when you tell me. So I'm going to search out and seek out validation and affirmation from as many people as possible to make me feel good in the moment, though ultimately I really don't believe it. And so now you're not meeting a need in me, not because of your efforts, but because of my difficulty accepting it. And it leads me to my own detriment. So it's important for you to take the time to rediscover yourself. But what we do is we rediscover and redefine ourselves outside of the confines of our relationship. And that is the problem. Listen, guys, post your questions. I promise today I will get to them. I promise you. So post them. Okay, let's go to the next one. Codependency issues. Oh, man, I can't tell you how big of the problem this is in many relationships. Codependent individuals may seek external validation. Don't you notice a trend here, a pattern here? Because of what's going on in me, I'm not experiencing within us what I need. So my own internal world is pushing me out. So remember, I said that we all live in a world, but there's a world that lives within us. So I'm a husband, I have a wife. We both live in the same world, me and Danielle. But there's a world that lives within me, Hassani. There's a world that lives within her, Danielle. And even though we as a couple are experiencing all of these things, internally, the way I see it, the story I'm telling myself, my own narrative, my own idiosyncrasies are causing me to think and feel and do X, Y, Z. So there's a detachment, because she may think she's showing up a certain type of way, but it lands differently on me. And I don't believe it, and I don't trust it, and I don't accept it, and I reject it. And so now I'm going to get somebody who really believes in showing up the right way towards me, who really loves me, who really cares. So now I'm going to leave and exit my marriage and go outside. And see, this is what's happening. Codependent individuals may seek external validation to fill a void of self-worth or identity. And seeking these external relationships helps them, so they think, to cope with their feelings of inadequacy and dependency. Man, just practically, let's just say a person has low self-esteem about their ability to sexually perform. They're not showing up in their bedroom, their marriage bed, in a satisfactory way. So they feel bad about themselves sexually. They have a low self-esteem, a poor body image. So what do? They leave the marriage and go and test how good or not good they really are. So they start having affairs with prostitutes, sex workers, going to strip clubs, getting validation, having sex with someone else. Well, I can please her. I don't know why I can't please you. I could please him. He doesn't have any complaints. Why are you complaining? So we're seeking a feeling outwardly that we don't naturally feel inwardly. This is some real stuff, folks. I hope that you're getting something out of this, because as you begin to understand the why, it will help you to begin to know what to do with it. Psychological escapism. And that may be a term that is used that you haven't heard of before, but it's using infidelity as a way to escape from personal problems or life stressors. My finances, I just can't manage it. We're underwater. We've been getting eviction notices, and I just have all this pressure, all this anxiety, all this depression, all this stuff going on. I need to feel different. And guess what? Every time I have a conversation with my wife, it's about the money, it's about the kids, it's about responsibilities, it's about what I'm not doing, how I need to show up. I just need to escape from this. And I found an escape in Susie. Because with Susie, we don't have to talk about bills. With Susie, we don't have to talk about child rearing. With Susie, we don't have to talk about goals. It's easy with Susie because we don't have all that stuff between us. We don't have disappointments and frustrations. We keep it light. We keep it fun. We can laugh. We can talk. And I had to escape my reality. And so that's why I wound up in an affair, because I feel different with Susie than how I feel with my spouse. So, a lot of times the affair that your partner is in or you have been in had nothing to do with the person. It had everything to do with you. You were just using the person in that moment to help you escape from the pressures of your daily life. So when oftentimes spouses ask the question, what was it about her? What was it about him? Did he do more of this? Was she more of that? But it's not about that person. And sometimes that's hard for a betrayed spouse to understand, because all they're doing is they're comparing themselves to that other person. How they're better, how they're worse, what they did more, what they didn't do enough of. And listen, this is why you need a professional to properly navigate you through this, because oftentimes it's because of my own need to seek out something other than what I'm currently in. All right, I'm going to take a pause and go to some of these questions, see what people have to say. I read this in my husband's message with his friends. The ideal marriage model is to find a good wife. That's why you always and you can always sneak out for hookups from time to time. Okay? This way you can never be alone. Okay? It's been a year post another disclosure, and I can't seem to heal and trust him again, knowing what I know he said to his friends. Yeah. That's the painful part. And so that's why I say this all the time. When people are grieving and going through a process of healing, there's a method, there's a pathway that you need to go through to get full healing, and your spouse is a part of that healing process. And so my rhetorical question is, are you two going through a process? Because time doesn't heal all wounds. Time can make things better, time can make things worse. It's very neutral. So it's what you do at that time. And so whatever we can do to assist you to really deal with that. See, a lot of times in the recovery process, if I have to deal with what you tell me, I know that you're going to give me a kinder, gentler explanation of what has happened. But if I'm reading emails and text messages and videos and I got receipts and I know the real deal, it's a more painful thing. So they can't sugarcoat it. They can't act as if they didn't say it or they didn't do it. And so for some people, information hurts, harms, and hinders. For others, it heals. But yet I still need to know. So what I need to know in order to bring me healing brings me more hurt. But now I know. But the truth doesn't just hurt, it also heals. So there's got to be a pathway attached to your healing, and that's what we want to help you with. So please just reach out to us so that we can see what we can do to assist you. All right, let's go to the next one. Emotional numbness. Emotional numbness. Have you ever just felt numb in your relationship? Like you just felt nothing? That is the danger zone. Feeling emotionally numb or detached from life, seeking affairs to feel alive, to experience emotions again. I tell people all the time, when you are constantly arguing and fussing and fighting with your spouse, that's not actually the worst stage. Because at least you know, wow, I can still piss him off. She still gets upset when I XYZ. That's an indication that you really love them. But as they say, there's a thin line between love and hate, right? It's a thin line. I love you so much that it makes me hate you. But when you get to a place when you just have experienced emotional numbness, that is the danger zone. Because it's almost like I've developed a callus on my heart and I just don't feel. I don't feel nothing. When you act a fool, I just don't feel anything. When you continue to cheat, whatever. When you come at me crazy with your tone and with your tongue, I'm numb. That's a place you do not want to be. But oftentimes, that's a place where a person is that causes them to cheat. Okay? And so, if I want to feel again, because I feel nothing here, when I'm with James and John and Bill and Bob and Susie and Sarah, and I feel alive. And so, this emotional monotony and detachment has just been cured, so I think, in this relationship with this other person. This is real stuff, folks. How about this? Unresolved anger or resentment. Now, we're talking about a feeling now, a strong feeling. See, harboring unresolved anger and resentment towards your spouse and using an affair as a mean to act it out. Because for a lot of people, anger is a form of punishment. And when I'm angry and pissed, you know what? I'm going, that's our approach. I know exactly what's going to hurt you. When I'm angry and resentful and bitter, I'm going to intentionally do things that blow up our marriage, that piss you off, that really push your buttons. And an affair is a way to do so. It's a way of seeking revenge. A lot of times, if you cheated on me, oh, okay, that's what we're doing now? All right, bet. I got you. I got your card. And so now, out of revenge, we express our anger indirectly with an affair. Let's go to the next. Hope this is helping you folks. Lack of a moral compass. Lack of a moral compass. See, you can go to church. You can call yourself a Christian. You could preach from the pulpit. None of that matters. Your title, your position, what faith tradition, what your religious practices are, don't mean a darn thing. If you have no strong moral or ethical values to guide your behavior, you can find yourself in a situation that you didn't even think could ever happen. And so disregarding this ethical implication can oftentimes lead to infidelity. So it's not about religion. It's about relationship, right? It's not necessarily about right and wrong, because we all know right from wrong. It's about your internal moral compass. What is your moral compass, and how does that compass guide your life? This is what we're talking about, folks. Let's go to the next one. Fear of commitment. That's right, a fear of commitment. Sometimes people have a fear of a long-term commitment or the responsibilities that come along with it. And so that fear, like for instance, whatever I fear, there's a way that I have to deal with my fear. So this can show up in so many different ways. Like I'll give you an example. If I fear this won't work out, I may subconsciously do things that will cause it not to work out. If I fear long-term commitment and the responsibilities that come with it, that's my fear. I may unconsciously, I'm not even aware that I'm doing it, engage in behaviors that will compromise a commitment. And so I will sabotage it by cheating. Sometimes we use affairs as a way to avoid a deeper commitment. So we will create an artificial distance, an emotional disconnect intentionally. As I mentioned the other day, when we come close, this is uncomfortable. Now, this is comfortable. As long as we can maintain this, I'm good. But the moment we get here, this feels a little bit uncomfortable. So I will do things to sabotage this that will get us not just here, but now here. And I'll use an affair to do so. This is why, listen, there's some deep psychological things that we really have to figure out to become the best versions of ourselves. So because in our brokenness, we will continue to do things that sabotage our relationships. Let's go to the next one, personal greed. I hope this is helping. I hope I'm not boring you, because I'm really helping you to try to identify what's going on in your home to begin to create a new foundation for a long-lasting relationship. Personal greed, wanting to have it all and not being satisfied with what you have alone. Yeah, this is good, and I appreciate you. You're a good wife. You're a good husband. Yep, you're a good parent to our children. You're a provider. We get sex. We have dates. All is well. We have great communication. But I want more. I want more. Why? Because I'm driven by an insatiable desire that cannot be quenched. There's a need for more. And rather than being content and satisfied with what things are, it's not like we're in a bad position. It's not like we don't get along. It's not like we don't have a great relationship. We do. But my own internal greed, my greedy desire for more pleasure, for more attention, for more experiences beyond what my primary relationship can give me, is my drive that keeps me going out, seeking for things that I already have within. This is real talk. This is real talk. Personal greed is a reality. The next one, a hedonistic lifestyle. Now, a lot of times when you hear hedonism, you think about festivals and parties and places in the Caribbean. You know, every single year when they have the festivals, they have these hedonistic, things. Back in the day, we had the Greek Fest and Freaknik, and it was a hedonistic experience. Or when you go to strip clubs and all types of private, membership clubs where they engage in hedonism. And really what it is it's pursuing a lifestyle centered around pleasure seeking and self-indulgence. That's what it's all about. Pleasure seeking and self-indulgence. And listen, not that it's about economics, because you can have no money and engage in this, but what we find is that, when you reach a certain level of success, a certain level of society, a certain level of income, there are certain people they're like, I want more. Like, I have houses, I have cars, I have this, I have that. What more is there? There's got to be something more out there. And so, once again, it's not about finances, but some people are just pleasure-oriented people, and they're willing to go beyond the bounds of a monogamous committed relationship to explore their hedonistic desires. Okay? And so infidelity as a part of a broader hedonistic behavior and attitude is something that some people struggle with. And identifying that is critically important. Okay? This is some deep stuff. What we're going to do, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. I know we're almost at the end of the show. I'm going to go a little bit over just to give you a little bit more. I want you to see this commercial about the Last Chance Weekend so that you consider signing up before the summer's over. Stay right there. That's right. That's the last chance weekend, and I want you to consider going. We have a few coming up this summer, so just reach out to us, set up a discovery call. Like I'm reading these statements and I'm reading these questions, and I'm like, why won't you just pull the trigger? Like I can answer your questions, and I can give you a quick soundbite answer, and it may serve you to better understand something, but it's not necessarily going to change anything until you do something about it. And so I want you to consider reaching out to us so that we can see how we can help you. Mary, you have a statement. He claims to want change, but he's trying to. We've done counseling, but I know too much to trust him again. Is this a me problem? It is a you problem, and it's a him problem, and it's a joint problem. I mean, it's definitely a problem for all of you if you don't trust him because he's not trusted. And so there's a, I don't know, this has nothing to do with you, Mary. I'm speaking in a general sense. Guys, you can read all the books you want, you can watch all the videos you want, but at some point, you have to incorporate implementation with the information that you're getting. And you can't be the doctor and the patient all at the same time. And that's what many of us are trying to do. Imagine a doctor gets shot in the side, goes to the emergency room and says, no, just take me to the room. I don't need any of you. I'm going to perform my own procedure. He's bleeding. He can't do it. He needs to have other people to assist him. So it is a you problem. It's an all of you problem, though. And you can begin to trust. Like there's a message down here by somebody else that says, never ever trust a cheating man. Well, let me speak to that. Technically, the way you wrote that statement is true. Never trust a cheating, meaning in the moment, meaning in the sea. If I'm cheating, you can't trust me. But you can trust a former cheater, someone who has cheated. Because if it's a past behavior, a past lifestyle, and they're on a path to personal healing and personal restoration, then yeah, that's someone that can be trusted. But it's a process that we take you through for trust to be restored. If you're new to the show, you may have never heard us say this, but we say this all the time. Trust is lost in buckets and gained in drops. So you lose it quickly, but it takes a period of time to restore it. Now, if you don't know the methodology for trust to be restored, then the amount of time it takes can be forever. But we can collapse time if you know officially how to do it. Yes, question is, do we offer virtual counseling? Listen, guys, let me just say this. Every show that we do, there are links. Like people ask questions like, well, how do I contact you? And what's the phone number? Well, it's on the bottom of the screen, but there's also links that you can click on. You can go to our website. You can see what services we have. Yeah, we do virtual counseling with couples all over the world. And so you don't have to rely on your local counselor. A lot of times, well, I want to meet in person. Okay, well, good luck finding somebody in your local area that gives you what you need. We do offer counseling. We do have an amazing platform. You can trust someone who's previously cheated. All of those things are very possible. Here's another comment. My husband began socially drinking more when we moved abroad. He had a misstep that he never shared, but indeed, I discovered it another way. Nothing physical, but definitely the guards were down. Yeah. And we talked about substances and its influence on our behavior. And if someone is not able to really operate in a way of integrity when they drink, then that's one of the boundaries and borders you have to place in that relationship. And so for some couples, they have a drink minimum or maximum, right? You can only have X amount of drinks when you're socially with your friends, because anything beyond that, you begin to operate and act in different types of ways. Or some remove it altogether because they're not good at maintaining alcohol. So I appreciate that statement. It's almost like we get no grace. People cheat and learn from it. It doesn't make them trash. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. And our entire process is a process of restoration. And I think that if you follow social media and if you read hashtags, and if you read infographics, and if you listen to the opinions of non-experts, you will be convinced that you stupid. If you stand, you stupid. Man, a woman will never respect you if she cheats on you and you forgive her and you stay. There's all types of craziness out there, which is emphatically not true. And we have been in business for 15 years, helping couples to restore their marriages, not convincing them to. They want to, but they need to know how to. And so you don't need to know the how. When you connect with us, the how just showed up. So your want and your strong why for doing it, matched with our how, will allow you to reach heights that you never thought were possible. So I hope that this is helping. Once again, what I want you to do, I want you to watch this video with your spouse. Have conversations. If the conversations get too difficult, reach out to us. Let us navigate some conversations for you. We do virtual counseling. We do a last chance weekend. We do a private marriage intensive. We have a number of different services for you. Just simply go to the website at couplesacademy.org, set up a discovery call. We're here to help you any way we can. But listen, guys, we're going to go into more of our conversation tomorrow. I don't care how long it takes. If I have to do a 10-part series to unpack the personal factors as to why people do what they do, hey, that's just what it is. It's my job to give you what you need. So I'll see you tomorrow at 9:30 a.m.